did your journey begin? How did you go from drug addiction to getting on the path that has ultimately taken you where you are now? What was your call to adventure?
That's what it was. It was a call to adventure. I mean, all of the drugs that I did and everything, I was a seeker, and
Yes.
I did mushrooms when I was 14 and had this really transcendent experience and, decided right then, I just sort of committed in my deepest soul that I was going to do that every chance I got. And I did, I sought alcohol and mushrooms and pot and acid and ecstasy as a young teenager and I sort of was the peer pressure. I can't say that I fell into the influences of peer pressure. I created the peer pressure. It was trying to get us all stuff to expand our consciousness over the weekend. And but it did. I have a very addictable brain, and it did eventually lead toward not good things. Particularly when I was introduced to crystal meth when I was 16, because I already had quite a weight problem and was very upset about my weight and, weighed, oh, I guess then, I mean, not that much more, but, whatever, like 30 pounds more than I weigh now.
Hmm.
But, on a young teenager, that's a lot of weight to be carrying around, an extra 30 pounds. And I didn't feel, I knew I had a pretty face, but I didn't feel like I was showing up to the world the way I wanted to be, to look, to appear, and I didn't feel comfortable in my body, and I didn't carry my weight proportionately, which made it worse. It was sort of all in my middle. I sort of looked like a big apple with really skinny, like toothpicks for legs, and it was uncomfortable. So I found crystal meth, and it was, it's an amazing drug for weight control. Like I suddenly didn't want to eat at all. I didn't care about eating, and that's when I realized um, how intense my pull toward food was when it was removed completely and
Oh.
suddenly. It was like a profound experience for me. And I remember trying to explain it to people, like what a big deal it was that I didn't want to eat at all. And they looked at me like I was strange. I was trying to explain, like, this is phenomenal. This is amazing. Like there's that muffin right there. I remember saying to somebody in like really intense tones, there's this muffin right there and I have no desire to eat it at all. As a matter of fact, the thought of eating that muffin is so strange to me. It's so far out of the realm of anything that I would do that I would sooner take the muffin and just smear it on my stomach until it was a crumbly mess. Like I have no urge or motivation or desire to take that muffin and put it in my mouth. And I was and I was like really intense about it. And they were like, okay, glad you ate that muffin. But to me, it was a revelation. So anyway, I did crystal meth for a long time, and I got very thin, and I got very psychotic, which is what happens when you do crystal meth over a prolonged period of time. It produces drug-induced psychosis, which is essentially schizophrenia. So I started having really scary and sort of complete breaks with reality. So I dropped out of high school and ultimately found cocaine and then ultimately found crack cocaine. Um, and, it did all start with a very genuine spiritual seeking. That was the root of it. And then that folded in with my desire to not be heavy, and my sort of natural thrill seeking personality. I have a pretty high risk tolerance in general.
Hmm.
I like living out on the edge of life, and you sort of fold all that together. And I got pretty far down with my drug addiction. So that's kind of how it all started. And then, that's where it led to. It led to pretty scary places.
Wow, that is just so powerful what you're describing, starting basically what was a spiritual search and gave you these genuine transcendent experiences and expanded your consciousness. But then whatever you had going on in terms of your psychological I guess stuff that was there, such as you said your brain is susceptible to addiction and the food addiction was already there. And so that's what comes up for people, I find, on a spiritual journey a lot. Unless we deal with our psychological stuff on the journey can take to deep, dark places. And so, how did you begin to deal with the stuff right? That was coming up for you.
Um, well, I couldn't deal with any of this stuff until I stopped using. And
Mm.
I think that, that's one of the things that I believe in my food program as well now today is I think people are missing the boat when they're trying to learn to love themselves more and try to deal with the inner stuff before they stop eating addictively.
Mm.
It has always worked better to, stop self-medicating, because then what happens is the universe gives you, hands you the issues you need to deal with in the day in bite-sized chunks, and sort of all you have to do is kind of deal with it as it arises, as opposed to continuing to medicate yourself and then trying to go on a fishing expedition to see what's in there and trying to
Yes.
heal it. But, if you're still, allowing yourself to self-medicate, you know, I just think it's a lot less effective of an approach, honestly, to go that route. So for me, what I had to do was get clean and sober. And I did that at the age of 20, not through any brilliance of my own, but just by dumb luck and grace. I got taken to a 12-step meeting by this guy I'd met at a gas station at 3 in the morning, this really cute guy. And we went on a first date, and he took me to a meeting on our first date. I didn't even know where he was taking me. I was baffled when we got there, and it was a very strange first date. But I've been clean and sober since that day. That was,
Wow,
23 years.
amazing. Like an angel showed up at 3 a.m. for you at the gas station and made sure to look cute so that you would go with him.
Yep, yep.
It's amazing how our path unfolds. I'm getting major goosebumps right now,
Yeah,
just imagining that experience because you are following the path. We are following the path on faith, and faith, I guess, speaks to us in the language we can understand now. Oh, here's a cute guy, right?
right.
You could
Totally,
understand that language then.
totally. Yep, yep. Yeah,
Hmm.
if every message would just come like, handed to me by a cute guy, I think I would listen a lot more readily to what the universe has to say.
That's the
But
best
but
marketing.
sometimes not, because I work on the cute guy issue too, and then maybe the cute guy would show up and I would run the other way and miss the message. So maybe not.
Mm. Well, that language changes, right, as we go through different
Right.
phases of life. So, what was the next phase? How did your journey unfold from there? So, you found yourself at this 12-step meeting?
Yep. So the next phase was the I'm clean and sober from drugs and alcohol, and my life is getting so much better, but I'm still using food addictively phase.
Mm.
And so I had to go on another phase of searching for a solution to my food problem, and I was wanting the solution to show up the same way with the same sort of clarity and finality that the solution to drugs and alcohol showed up, and it was not showing up that way.